Good morning, Shrimp Farm. Welcome to Mark Shrimp Tanks. In today's video, right, we are going to deal with a problem with a Hydra infestation in one of my tanks. Right? But before we go on to the treatment, let's actually have a look at some of my other tanks as well, because if we have Hydra in one tank, there's probably a good chance that we have Hydra in some of our other tanks as well. Right? So let's we'll break out of the macro camera as well. Let's grab our magnifying glass and we'll have a look at the other tanks and we'll see which tanks we actually need to treat today, right? Because this is going to be over probably 7 days of this treatment and it will start today, right? So what we normally do is you add the treatment, you miss a day, you add the treatment, you miss a day, and then you add the treatment. And then what happens, guys, is over the course of maybe 2 weeks, something like that, you'll see the Hydra get smaller and smaller and smaller, and eventually they just waste away to nothing, right? So this is going to be good for us to document as well. As I said, I've got the macro camera. We'll take some footage of them when they're in their healthy state. And guys, I want to just show you as well that I have them in different types of tanks here, as in this top tank where I know I have them right now. It is a soft water bee shrimp tank. I wasn't sure you could even get them in soft water bee shrimp tanks, but apparently you can. So let's look at all of our tanks today and just have a little look and see which ones we need to treat. And also, guys, we need to drink our coffee at the same time. Alright, so I'm in my blind Dr. Magoo mode. As you can see here, we're going to use the magnifying glass. And guys, we'll see with this as well, if you can actually see through the magnifying glass, to see them as we quickly check the tanks. As I said, I'm going to grab some macro footage because that's probably the best thing for you to see. Yeah, but let's deal with this Hydra today. Let's look at the tank that we know for sure that we have Hydra in, and this is this one here, and this is a bee shrimp tank. And yeah, we have them on the glass in this tank in a few places. Let's see. I can't even see the lens of the camera, so there's no way that you're going to be able to see what I'm doing with this. But I can see them quite clearly with my magnifying glass here like this. So yeah, here's one here, here, here. There's quite a lot in this tank actually. They're all over the place. So this is one that we need to treat. These are crystals in this tank, and I'm a little bit hesitant to treat tanks like this. And this is going to be a good reason for us to document it as well, because I'm never 100% sure that our no planaria treatments are baby shrimp safe. So now would be a good time to test this because they've not had their babies yet, but there's going to be no planaria in this water when they're born, and we'll see what the survival rates are like, if it's going to be good or non-existent or whatever else. But yeah, let's quickly have a look at some of the other tanks. And the way I always do it, guys, is just have a quick look with my eyes on the glass to see if we can actually see anything, and I don't in this tank. Let's go to the next one. Let's see, can we see anything? Can you see a baby shrimp? This glass is actually quite clean. Yeah, I can't see anything at all in here. Another baby shrimp there. These guys had a lot of babies yesterday. Let's go over to this tank. Nope. So these ones were set up quite recently, so I'm not expecting to see Hydra in here, but it's not impossible. I don't see nothing here either. These are the super crystal reds. Nope, 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 nothing. It would probably be impossible for me to see something in here. No, 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 nothing. And you have to be methodical when you do this, guys, because you miss a tank and you just have like a big, huge chance to spread it even more all over the place. Now there is one thing I'm a little bit concerned about that I have to remove. There's a dead shrimp in that mossy set. I thought that shrimp was dead yesterday, but it wasn't discoloured, but today it's very dead, as you can see, so we have to remove that. What's a little bit odd in here as well is we have 1, 2, 3 molts. A wee bit odd. Let's have a look in this tank. Oh, here you go. There's Hydra in this tank. So this is one that we need to treat. Let's grab a little bit of our sticky tape here just so we can mark the tanks that definitely have it. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't actually expecting to see any here. I could see them on the glass on here. They can, guys, at times be very, very difficult to see Hydra because they're so small. But yeah, there's some in the glass here over here. We'll get some macro footage of this. And guys, this I've already actually treated this tank before for Hydra. So it just goes to show. Let's see, is there any in here? Is there any in here? Normally they're very, very visible, guys, on the sides. So this is what I'm looking for more or less, is in tanks like this, is down the side, like you're using that kind of focal vision down the pane of the glass to see if you can actually see anything. This one's clear. And this one looks like it's clear as well. You see what I mean? How it can be very, very odd how... Is this one clear? I think so. It's very, very odd how you will get it in some tanks and not at all in other tanks. I don't see it on here. There's actually a lot of life in this tank, but I don't see any Hydra. None. This was a very new tank, so it's very unlikely that there's going to be any Hydra in here. See this one, you would never be able to tell if there was Hydra any in this tank. Nothing at all. Let's see over here, these ones. Looking at the glass here, this glass is clean, but if there was Hydra in there, you'd be able to see it. This one's got a lot of babies actually. Anything in here? Nothing. Nothing. Isn't it amazing what the difference of adding an extra filter to a tank does? As we talked about yesterday, this tank was absolutely covered in green water. Now, yeah, this one would be very easy to see if there's Hydra and there's nothing at all. Right? So that is 2 tanks that we have to treat. Hello there, little fish. How are you today on this glorious day of days? Alright, so we have to treat 2 of our tanks. And we also, yeah, I never checked these ones, did I? My God, Mark, you're such a dumbass. There's nothing in here. We're looking down the pane to the sides. These girls are awfully buried. Watch this one when it turns around. When you look at them, I'll look for the Hydra. Now look at the size of this berry girl. It's weird, just as I say, they turn around so you can't see how buried they are. Turn around, oh, you can see this one. Look at it. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Let's check this tank. This tank has bazillions of little macro animals. Oh guys, look at this. Now I'm going to take some macro footage of this here because there's a lot of little baby cherries on the side on this one. All on that biofilm at the side, so you can see how important biofilm is. Right, so we have 2 tanks to treat today. This one and this one. Both Caridina tanks. Right, so I have no planaria somewhere. Let me have a little look. I have it here somewhere. I had it here, it's here. And this has been in this container like this for a little while. So the dose is very, very small for these tanks, guys. It's like 0.2 grams per 10 gallons or 40 litres of water. And I like to add mine to something, give it a shake, and then add it to the tank so it's easier to disperse. I don't know what it's called with the powder and this stuff, but it doesn't dissolve in water very easily. It kind of just floats and it gets dissolved over time. And guys, once we've done our treatment as well, once the 2 weeks is up, I'll remember to run active carbon in these tanks to mop up any excess no planaria, right? Because there's something else I forgot to mention as well, and that is any snails that are in these tanks are going to be killed, unfortunately. But you could try and save all these snails if you had to, but the problem with doing this, guys, is if there's any Hydra on the snails, if you move them from one tank to the next tank, you're basically spreading the Hydra. And the reason the Hydra is an issue is because what I talked about yesterday is it can actually kill baby shrimp. Right, so you don't want the infestation to go further than the tank that it's in. You don't want it to get worse, and you definitely want to treat it. So let's get on with that right now. Right guys, let's get on with our dosing. Coffee first. And this is our dose on day 1, right? So we have 1.5 litres of an empty cola bottle. It's rinsed out. Guys, I use this for other things in here. We have a funnel like this, and we have a no planaria. We also have 500 ml of water that we made up the other day for our water changes. So this is the same water that went into our tanks the other day for these bee shrimp tank water changes. What we need to do here is we need to add our funnel like this, and then we add our no planaria, right? And our dose for no planaria is 0.2 grams per 40 litres of water, which is roughly about 10 gallons in the US measurements. Right, so let's get our planaria like this into the funnel, drop it in, and let's add our water. Be careful not to spill this because yes, this is the second take of me actually doing this because I actually spilt the whole thing all over myself. Let's add our water. And it's good to use a funnel when you do this, guys, because you make sure like all the powder goes in, and then you make sure that all your water goes in very, very easily. Something you should have in the shrimp room is a funnel. That's what I'm saying. Right, so then you want to get your lid from your cola bottle like this, and you want to give this a good shake. Because as I said before, this doesn't mix very well with water. Normally, it doesn't mix very well with water, right? So you want to give it a good shake. Because if you don't do this, what will happen is you'll add it as powder in dry form to the tank, right? And it will all collect at the edges because of the surface tension. And as your water evaporates over the course of God knows how many days, what will happen is your planaria will get left on the sides and it will get left high and dry, right? And you don't want it away up high and dry. You want it in the water actually doing its job. So give this a good shake for a couple of minutes, and then you add it to the tank. Let's see, is our powder mixed? That mixed very, very well actually. See it, there's none floating around. So let's get this into our tank. Alright, Shrimp Fam, let's do our crystal red shrimp tank first. Let's give this a little swirl. Have a little swig of it if you like, and deworm your body as well. Right, and let's add this to the tank. And we go. And try and spread it out quite evenly, guys. Like this. And you can see a wee bit, it's just not sinking there on the top. But this is much better than it would be if you actually put it in as a dry powder. I'm going to have to put the bottle in the water a little bit because it's near the ceiling. In you go, mother effer. I didn't think this through, it's not going in, look. We'll have to put it into a smaller container. Let me see what we have here. Let's use the container that it come in for our water change. Like this, right? So let's get this stuff in here. Hopefully this fits in there this time. There you go, so we've got the rest in. It's always a good idea to give your little thing a little dip like this, right? So this cloudiness only lasts a few hours, but what it does, guys, is all these particles will eventually get trapped in the Hydra because they have tentacles, and these guys will start to shrivel up. Remind me, guys, to take some macro photography here because we need to show you what happens to them on our several days. So let's get onto our second treatment. And like this, let's get our planaria in. And again, we're going to go with the same dose because these tanks are all roughly the same size, about 40 litres, 10 gallons, something like that. Let's put our powder in. Make sure you seal your container again. So this stuff, guys, when you buy planaria in the pouches, it can last for years, basically. And the reason I have it in a container like this is because you know what it's like with those Mylar bar bag pouches, that often the little seal thing on them fails, and I don't want the moisture in the room going into the powder, so yeah, I've always put mine in a container like this, right? Mark, stop blather, get on with the topic. Let's add our water. And let's give it a good shake. Let's give this a good shake, right? So you do this, as I said, for a few minutes, and then I'll add it to the water. Alright, let's add it to our second tank, and I'm going to try and add it as far back as possible here, like this, and just try and spread it out a little bit evenly, guys, in the tank. You should always try and do that. Make sure all the Hydra gets some of the powder ingested into their wee bodies, because this will help you with your issues with them in general. So there you go, there's 2 of our tanks treated. Right, so this is the first day of our treatment. What's interesting with this tank here as well, guys, is I think one of the girls has had her babies in here this morning, so this would be a good test. I'd never like to think I'd test products like this on animals to see if it kills them, but Hydra is one of those ones where you really don't want it in your tank. You don't want it to get out of hand, and you don't want it to spread to other tanks and whatever else, because if it starts to go into my neo tanks, it can become a real problem, because they grow exponentially, and yeah, if they go into that type of tank, you'll be forever treating them. So nip it in the bud while you can. Alright guys, let's remove this dead shrimp in here before I forget. I should have done it yesterday, but I wasn't sure it was dead, so I left it in here. Let's see, it's looking a bit red. It's right mixed in with all the Java moss here, so it's a wee bit tough to get out of here. See it? It is red. Let me have a look here. No, it was a buried girl as well. God damn it. Excuse me for using the Lord's name in vain there, but if I had seen that this was dead yesterday, there might have been a chance that I could have saved these eggs, but there's no chance today. Not a hope. That is a shame. That is a shame, but what is good is I can see that there's other buried girls in here. And guys, I just want to tell you something as well. The reason I show you all this stuff daily is because I want you guys to see that I go through the same things as you do. Every shrimp keeper does. They will all have these little issues where they have dead buried shrimp and whatever else. We have no idea why that shrimp died. All the rest of the shrimp in the tank look perfectly healthy. So it could be things like old age. It was a fairly big shrimp as well. It could be old age, but it could be anything. So we'll never know. So don't beat yourself up about things like this, right? Alright guys, so that was day one of our treatment with our no planaria here. And as I said, what we'll do is we'll come back in the relevant days. So tomorrow we won't be dosing this again. We're going to give it a rest day. And as I said, we do it on day 1, day 3 and day 5, right? So we have a rest day in between each one, and then we leave it for 2 weeks. You don't do a thing, don't do anything with the tank, don't do water changes. It's quite important. You want the medication to stay in the water. And then guys, by then your little Hydra that you see in the tanks should be shriveled up and gone or dead completely, right? And from there on in, if you want to, you can also add maybe like a little bag of active carbon to the tank, and that'll help you greatly with mopping up any medication. Because I didn't mention this, I don't think, in the entire video, but no planaria kills snails dead. It will kill them dead. If you have Sulawesi snails, anything like that, it will kill them dead, right? So there's something you must be aware of when you do this, that you're not going to get any survivors with your snails. So just be picky what you do with this. Don't add it to tanks where you have like mystery snails, apple snails, something like that, because what this will do, guys, is it will kill them slowly over time. They'll just get slower and slower over the course of weeks and months, to the point that they don't move, and then you go into your tank and it's just a rotten mess of smell, right? So the other issue with these as well is it kills stuff like trumpet snails, right? And if you have a tank with lots of trumpet snails, because a lot of people do have loads and loads of snails in their tank, if you kill all the snails at once, guys, you'll have an ammonia spike in the tank, and it again will start to kill all your snails and whatever else you have in the tank. This is one of the things that a lot of people have problems with, is once this starts to happen and it kills everything in your tank, your ammonia spikes, you will start to see shrimp death after shrimp death after shrimp death, right? So keep that in mind. Don't go berserk with your dosing. Try and keep to the minimal dosing. Do it properly, then use active carbon, and you'll be golden. You'll be good to go. One of the other things I haven't mentioned before as well is I actually have known professional breeders in the past that have dosed that dose of no planaria into a tank as a precaution. For them, what that means is they're using it as a precautionary depesting agent, if you want to call it that, where they put the stuff into the tank and it will kill stuff like limpet snails. It will kill most of the snails in your tank. If you dose this monthly, it will kill most of the snails in your tank, but it should leave all the little things like copepods. It will kill all the worms as well, if you have detritus worms or whatever else. But guys, what I'm saying is just be careful when you're doing this stuff, because you don't want to go too gung-ho in the beginning and kill everything in the tank, because yeah, there's knock-on effects and consequences to dosing this kind of stuff, so be very cautious. Guys, what I've also done is I've marked a Hydra for us to be able to see, right? So at the end, this little red sticker is a Hydra, and I've taken some macro footage of it. We'll come back, as I said, on day 3 and then on day 5, and we'll see how this looks. And then over the course of 2 weeks, we'll come back and we'll just randomly look at this Hydra and we'll see what's happened to it, because yeah, I probably won't make a standalone video saying, yeah, look what happened to this Hydra after we dosed it for a couple of days. I'll show you the dosing because I think that's quite important. I'll probably name that in the video like part 1 or something, and then it'll be part 2 and part 3 so you know how to dose it. Maybe part 4 is when we deal with the consequences of the Hydra all being dead and we mop up the medication in the tank with their active carbon, but then that'll be it. And I'll maybe put this into a little tiny playlist for you guys to see. But guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you have, then please leave a like and subscribe. And I'll see you all in the next one, which will be tomorrow.